Hi girls, Mr. Gilmore here. If you haven't noticed, things are a little bit different today. We're going to be trying out me using kind of a effectively video recorder of my screen, and I'm going to be writing on effectively a PowerPoint with what amounts to a pen and a separate tablet. Now the problem here is I'm looking at a screen and I'm writing on a tablet that's separate from that screen. So my handwriting has gotten quite bad for the time being. So hang on with me and we will work through such things. Now, today we're going to be working on the area of a triangle, but beforehand I wanted to talk a little bit about question 18 from the homework that's due by tonight. And I wanted to talk about it mainly because a lot of people struggled with this. This was a tough question, but I did ask people to try to come up with another way of solving the example I gave in my last video, and I didn't hear a peep from anyone. So this was actually kind of a call to action to see if you guys would get involved, get engaged, and see what other ways you could have done to solve this. So you'll see, wait a second, we don't have the height here, we don't have the height here, we don't have the width here, we don't have the width here. We probably could have figured out, we definitely could have figured out the height of these two parts, but we couldn't figure out this width. Couldn't figure out this width. Those two are just not possible. So what's our alternative way of figuring out the shaded blue area? Well, the trick here is to break it into two separate shapes. So the first shape, which I'm just going to call this kind of vertical block here, you can see this vertical block here. We're going to call that shape A, okay? We've got shape A here. And shape A has a width of 20 centimeters and a height of 70 centimeters, okay? Similarly, we can then go, okay, there's another shape here. There's a vertical one, right? Sorry, horizontal one. We've already looked at the vertical. We'll look at the horizontal. We can look at this block here, right? We'll look at this block and we'll shade this section in. And we're going to call that shape B, okay? So we look at shape B, we look at shape A, and would the sum of shape A and shape B be the total area that the green section has shaded? Just pause this for a second, think about it, and okay. The best of you might have already have figured out, wait a second, we're covering this center section twice, aren't we? Like, we're counting this section when we're doing the vertical, we're counting this section when we're doing the horizontal. So we've got this little block here as well, which has been counted twice, okay? So we're going to go, okay, we've got shape A, we've got shape B, and we've got another one which is going to be much, much smaller, 10 centimeters by 20 centimeters, and that's going to be our shape C. So the vertical plus the vertical plus the horizontal, take away this section in the middle because we're counting that twice, okay? So we only need to take it away once. So the area of the shaded section is equal to shape A plus shape B minus shape C. Okay, so what is shape A? Well, shape A is, as we've established, 70 multiplied by 20 plus shape B, which is 90 multiplied by 10, and shape C is 20 multiplied by 10. So minus 20 multiplied by 10. So 70 multiplied by 20, you're free to take out a calculator and figure that out for yourself. but it's 1,400. 90 multiplied by 10, that's 900. And 20 multiplied by 10, that's 200. If we plug those all into a calculator, we should get 2,100 centimeters squared. Now, some of you girls were able to figure that out for yourself. Well done to you for figuring it out. It was a tough question. Some of you just didn't answer the question. And that I'm not wild about. I don't mind people struggling with a question. I mind people not attempting a question. So always, always, always give it an attempt. I'll more than happily give you feedback if I think there's anything you girls could have done better. Now, that's last night's homework. Let's move on into the real stuff. Let's move on into finding the area of a triangle. So, you'll see I have put up 1, 2, 3, 4 examples here. I'm going to go through each one in a minute. And the first two are just going to get us to figure out how we find the area of a triangle for ourselves. So I'm going to zoom in here. Whoop, there we go. And we want to get all the image. There we go. There we go. And what we're going to do is we're going to just look at this triangle. Now, this is a right angle triangle, which means we already know a right angle triangle is just half of a full rectangle, isn't it? Like if we just go zoom like this and like this, we'll see this has a height of 3 centimeters. This is a width of 4 centimeters. So we can see this triangle here is half of this rectangle I've extended it to. It's going to be 1/2, and what's the area of a rectangle? Well, it's the height by the width, so height by width. Now, in this situation, because we're dealing with triangles, we're not going to talk about the width. We're instead going to refer to it as the base. I'm just going to put in a little b to represent the base. So, 1/2 the horizontal height, 3 multiplied by the base, 4. And we'll end up getting 6 centimeters squared. And that's absolutely perfect as an answer, okay? So we're seeing 1/2 height multiplied by base. But I've only really shown this to you girls using a kind of height and width situation. Sorry, with a right angle triangle. Let's see if it works for a normal day-to-day triangle. Let's move down to this section here. You can see this triangle here. I'm going to move it up a little bit. And we'll see this is just a normal standard triangle. But again, we can kind of almost cut this triangle in two, can't we? We can almost just cut it down the middle. Cut it down, it's what we call its vertical height. Know what I'm saying? Vertical height, not just height. And I'll go back to that in a second. We can see this section here is a right angle triangle. It's half the area of this rectangle. And this section here is half the area of this other rectangle. So if this is half of this, and this is half of, sorry, if this is half of this, and this is half of this, then we can see, wait a second, this triangle is half of the whole rectangle. So we can go, okay, the height of this rectangle, 6 centimeters, the width, 4 centimeters. So again, we're getting the exact same formula, 1/2 the height by the width. But because we're dealing with a rectangle, it's 1/2 the vertical height by the base. So 1/2 multiplied by 6 multiplied by 4. So together, that all comes out to, I believe, 12 centimeters squared. Fantastic. Okay, so we know it for a rectangle, sorry, for a right angle triangle. We know it for what is just a kind of standard regular triangle. Sorry. what about the weirder triangles? What about something like what we have in this top right-hand corner? What about an obtuse triangle? Well, I won't show you the kind of way in which we reason this out because it does get quite complicated. But we can still see that we've got the vertical height. Notice that this is a vertical height. This isn't even going through the triangle anymore. It's this independent vertical height, and it's the height in relation to this base, okay? So we've got the height and the base. They have to be at right angles to one another. Otherwise, you're doing it wrong. But we still have 1/2 the base by the vertical height. 1/2 20 times 12. That's going to end up equaling out to 120. And we don't really have any units given here. So I'm just going to write in units squared so that I know, so I'm showing, I'm reasoning this out as an area, not as just like a measurement or something. Now, one final situation. What if the triangle doesn't have its base at the bottom? The base doesn't have to be at the bottom. Let's look at this situation here, just down below us, okay? Let's look at this situation. Oh, how would we figure out how to find this? Well, we've got this height here, right? And we've got a base, this one here. So, and this is one of the things that I'm very happy about me using a computer for, I can just kind of almost look at it as if it was flipped upside down. So it makes sense. If I just flip it upside down, me rotating it, that's not going to change the area. That's not going to change the area at all. But it's still going to have 9 meters in base, 5 meters in height. So I'll bring it back to where it was. I can still go, okay, I'm going to label this as the base, okay? My base. And then this is the height, and it's fine being the height because it's at a right angle to our base. It has to be a right angle to our base. So we'll just go, okay, the area of this triangle is going to be, again, 1/2 the base by the vertical height, or the height, vertical height by the base. I'll do vertical height by the base because I've done vertical height by the base pretty much all the other times. I changed a little bit for the obtuse triangle, but that was just to get you guys used to moving those kind of values around. So we get 1/2 by 5 by 9. So we're going to get 45 over a half, or let's put that into something simpler, 22.5. And of course, we're dealing with meters here. So if it's a meter base and it's a meter height, then the units at the end are going to be meters squared. And that, girls, is how we find the area of a triangle. And I'll show you the full image there now. So, I am going to assign you girls some work. I know you all love it when I do that. So, in our textbooks, I'm going to just roll us down to this point here. In our textbooks, can we do on pages 203 through, let's say 205, and we're going to do questions 10, which is another rectangle question. Some of you didn't do great on your rectangle questions. I wouldn't mind you girls doing a little more work on that. 12, which is triangles. 13, which is triangles. 15, which is triangles. And then I believe 16 is going to be a bit different because it's going to need you to do both a triangle and a rectangle, but it'll still work out as a standard shape. And then, why don't we also do 19 and 20? 19 and 20, those are tough ones. I'm going to say anyone who doesn't show me work on these two, I'm going to say you didn't actually do the work because I don't know how you could do it without showing me a bit of work. So I'm going to say these 19 and 20, they're tough. Tough and must show work. Oop. Brought myself to the edge of the screen there. There we go. Work. Okay, so hopefully you girls have enjoyed our first digital version. My reasoning behind using this is that it literally saves me hours in terms of video recording. So girls, have a lovely evening. I'm going to say let's have this work in for Wednesday. I will be giving you more work on Tuesday due for Thursday. I'm just giving you girls a little bit more leeway just so that if there are any issues with your internet or what have you, you at least can say, well, he gave me enough free time, okay? Have a lovely day, girls. Bye-bye.